This episode of Midco Sports Magazine is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Hello, welcome again to Midco Sports Magazine in 2020. And we step away from traditional sports this week. We're talking about eSports, electronic sports, video games, and video game competitions. Hundreds of colleges across the country have added eSports as a club activity, and a few have added it to their athletic programs as an actual varsity sport. We'll take you behind the scenes of the first Northern Sun Conference school to offer scholarships in eSports. And we'll meet a teenager in Fargo who is a competitive gamer and a high school kid and a pioneer of sorts, making his way into the eSports arena. Well, more and more colleges are buying in and starting eSports programs. And there is a national organization that is trying to take collegiate gaming to the next level. Here's Jody Norstedt.
eSports. No, it's not your typical game night with friends in your parents' basement anymore. It has become a booming business. It has superstars, celebrity athlete owners, a rabid fan base that sells out stadiums, and prizes worth millions of dollars. But how does it fit into the college landscape? That was the question being mulled around by Michael Brooks and his colleagues in the NAIA League offices in Kansas City back in 2015.
Working in traditional athletics, we looked at lacrosse, and we were like, lacrosse is one of the fastest growing sports in the United States. We were excited that it was getting like 10 new schools a year. Right? That was like basically a rocket ship in our eyes. So I took that type of mentality and I'm like, yeah, esports is really, really popular. I'm a gamer myself, so I know there's a pretty rabid fan base out there. The NAI is the one who investigated it originally, and I was an NAI staff member at that time. So somehow got pulled into that. But the NAI quickly came to the realization that this can't fit within the NAI. It can't fit within the NCAA. The constitution of bylaws of those two associations kind of run like oil and water to just even how esports operates.
For instance, the NCAA has been strictly against paying student athletes for many years. Meanwhile, college esports players often participate in tournaments for big prize money and can be paid for broadcasts on the popular live streaming service Twitch. There would also have to be some type of negotiation with the publishers of the video games. That's why Brooks and others felt that a separate organization needed to be formed. In 2016, while continuing to work with the NAIA, Brooks headed up the formation of the National Association of Collegiate Esports, also known as NACE. It was to be the new governing body of esports.
We came together with the 6 schools as our first charter members and really been leading the way, helping other schools start their own programs and then figuring out how do we organize all this collective population of students and administrators to do something at a much higher level, and that's all of our national championships, legislation, all the services and tools a school needs to run a program effectively.
Since first logging on in 2016, NACE has helped spawn new collegiate esports programs across the country at an unprecedented rate, growing from the original 6 to 192 varsity programs and counting.
We've taken off faster than anything else in the United States has ever seen in terms of intercollegiate programming. And there's no indication it's slowing down, it's only accelerating even further. Our average right now is 7 new inquiries from institutions per day. Yeah, it's incredibly high. Most of our staff time at this point in time, during the day, there's also work at night, is devoted to helping those schools learn more about esports and hopefully start their own programs.
Colleges of every size have joined the craze, whether it's Power 5 schools such as the University of Missouri and the University of Oklahoma, or NAIA programs in the Dakotas like the University of Jamestown and Dakota Wesleyan.
We're seeing a lot of those smaller size institutions. They're looking at esports beyond the branding and kind of the academic components you can tie into it. It's really a way to kind of raise your arm out of a crowd and say, you should come to my institution because we have this program and we think you're a great fit for it. right? It's very similar to traditional athletics, right? You know, I want to play baseball, for instance, but I'm not at that D1 caliber, but I still want to play, right? This is something I'm passionate about, and this institution is offering me the opportunity. Esports very much fits in that type of conversation.
And although many still question if gaming should be considered a sport, it's being treated like one at the collegiate level. The esports teams have coaches, practices, competitions, and some are being given scholarships. Meanwhile, for Brooks and his staff with NACE, there has been no time to push pause as the inquiries continue to pile up.
It's not smooth sailing. We're trying to build a whole competitive ecosystem in a handful of years. You know, my timeline is out in the next 10 years. And we always get compared to what's happening, you know, in the NCAA and what it does today. And where's esports going to be next year? Well, I always point out the NCAA had 120 years to develop to what we're familiar with it today. You know, how often has it been to kind of redefine what intercollegiate competition can be in the United States? I mean, this is one of those rare opportunities to kind of redefine what tradition really should mean.
And joined now by Jody Norstead. All right, Jody, when we think of collegiate sports, we think of conferences, Big Ten, Summit League, what have you. Is that where this is going down the road in esports?
Yeah, Tom. In fact, Michael Brooks, the executive director of NACE, also told us that they just launched a pilot with one of their partners to set up the first esports-specific conference here in the Midwest involving 13 of their member schools. And if that goes well, the plan is to replicate that amongst other members. So then you're talking about possibly developing conference rivals and competing for a conference championship, in addition to national championships, and then of course the professional tournaments where these players are already earning thousands and in some cases millions of dollars.
All right, thanks a lot, Jody Norstead. Up next, yes, you can actually get a college scholarship to be a competitive gamer. And one school in the Northern Sun Conference is already doing it. That story coming up.
Midco Sports Magazine on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. In the last 5 years, hundreds of colleges across the country have added esports as a club activity, and some have added it as an actual varsity sport. And there is one school in the Northern Sun Conference that was the first to offer college scholarships in esports, and they are building a program there from the ground up. Here's David Brown.
Outside, in the real world, it's hard to imagine the possibilities. Inside, among a throng of cables and wires, it gets even murkier. But this space will soon open up beyond the physical, providing unforeseen adventures, unknown battlegrounds, and an odyssey that will have an impact far beyond what you see on your screen.
We've always played games, but now we're funneling it into a more structured system.
Logan Hermes is the head coach of the brand new Concordia St. Paul eSports team, although his title doesn't quite capture all the controls he has to master.
You're not just coaching the team, you're building the space, you're recruiting players, you're giving cultural context of gaming to an entire St. Paul/Minneapolis community that hasn't experienced it at this level.
When I really started to dig into it, we realized that it could be a really good move for our department.
Concordia St. Paul Director of Athletics Reagan McCarthy has gone on a quest that's taken years to complete. Esports was first discussed during a 2017 strategic planning meeting, and then formally announced as CSP's 17th athletic program in November 2018.
I think what finally sold it for me was I spoke with the AD at Ashland University, which is in Ashland, Ohio, and he was really helpful for a lot of different reasons. But one of the things he said to me was, if I can get 40 kids to come play esports in rural Ohio, you'll have no problem in a major metro area.
Level 1 in building this program was finding a head coach. Logan Hermes stood out not only for his love of esports, but his pursuit of a master's degree in student affairs and higher education.
I'm really excited about how I got to this point because it wasn't just straight gaming, I actually can focus on that developmental process of what a student looks like going through a traditional or non-traditional college setting.
It was pretty apparent to us right away that he was going to be the good fit.
Level 2, finding a space to build a practice facility and gaming arena. The Marshall Building on Concordia St. Paul's campus sits just across the street from the Gangelhoff Center, CSP's main sports venue. Putting esports there is part of a conscious effort of inclusion.
We didn't want to just add it as another club and stick them in a basement somewhere. We wanted them to be visible. We wanted them to feel like they were a part of our larger Golden Bear family.
Level 3, constructing the space. Over the summer of 2019, building blocks were added in the form of PCs, chairs, keyboards, and anything else to provide an authentic gaming experience. Level 4, actually finding players.
You go through about 3 different online portals a day. There's no designated spot for recruiting. You try to meet gamers where they're at.
Just like all of our other sports, he has a scholarship budget, and he gets to determine how he distributes that scholarship budget.
Level 5, filling out the roster. Tryouts were conducted in the fall of 2019, giving Logan an opportunity to find the best of the best.
If you are interested, you just shoot me that email so I have a physical copy of you saying, like, oh, I want to be part of this.
Okay.
CSP will offer a variety of different team-based games, ranging from the Battle Arena League of Legends to NBA 2K.
We focus, just like any other college sport, on teamwork and effective communication to propel decision-making, to complete the objective, to eventually win the game.
Level 6, just play. The Concordia St. Paul eSports team officially kicked things off in late 2019, completing a journey that started in one world and ended in another. In these beginning stages, success won't be measured by wins and losses. It'll be calculated by progress, not necessarily quantifiable, but a marker that'll set the bar for years to come.
Colleges that have these programs just have a plethora of opportunity to not only teach, instruct, and cultivate their student base, but also for students to add things on their resume. It's
paid off for us in a number of ways. It's paid off for us when we added lacrosse. It's working well with our esports team so far, and you know, it's awesome to be at the forefront of those type of things and feel like we're doing something different.
I know that our gaming culture is going to grow. I know that we will get recruits. And I know that we're going to have a great competitive scene, no matter what.
All right, joined now by David Brown, and this is all very interesting, but there are some old school athletes
like you
around that think maybe, how do you consider this a sport? Concordia St. Paul's administration is on board with this. Why?
Yes, I'm not going to tell people one way or another how to feel, what to believe, but what Reagan McCarthy, the director of athletics at Concordia St. Paul, told me, and keep in mind she played volleyball in college, is that we focus too much on the physical aspect of what traditional sports are and not enough on the mental aspects. No one's going to pretend that esports is anything physical, but there's stuff like working with the teammate, mental acuity, decision-making, mental aspects of a lot of traditional sports that form the basis of why they consider competitive video gaming esports. That was enough for Reagan. That was enough for Coach Logan Hermes.
All right, and it's cost-effective, and it can bring students into a university, which is a big point of contention right now with some schools. These are all real things, right?
Yeah, the cost effectiveness, honestly, is probably one of the biggest components as to why so many universities are adding esports. Your travel budget is essentially nothing. Unless you travel to a national tournament, you're playing all your matches in a home arena. And second, as we've seen, NACE is the governing body of esports, not the NCAA, which means teams, if they want, like Concordia St. Paul, can look for sponsorship deals, other sources of revenue that, let's just say, would be questionable at best under current NCAA guidelines.
All right, nice work, buddy. Good story, David Brown. Esports is a term the younger generations are familiar with, but it's been around longer than you might think.
The very first esports event took place at Stanford University in 1972 when students were playing the game Space War.
Jump to the 1990s, gamers were now able to connect through the web, making online gaming possible, and from there, the gaming world exploded. Fast forward to 2020, gamers now have tournaments all over the world, making an estimated $1.5 billion in revenue this year. The NBA even got involved with its own gaming league, known as the NBA 2K League. The league consists of 21 teams owned and operated by actual NBA franchises. What's unique about this league is that players don't play avatar versions of real NBA players, but digital versions of themselves with an increased talent. So whether you like to play multiplayer or individually, competitively or just for fun, there is a space for you. Just so you know.
Midco Sports Magazine on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. Talking about eSports, and we've talked about NACE, the governing body of collegiate eSports. We've talked about Concordia St. Paul, the first Northern Sun Conference college to offer collegiate eSports scholarships. But who are these gamers? Well, here's one in Fargo, North Dakota, known as Vio. And he is a teenager trying to balance gaming and family in high school.
I'm Weston Mundt, and my gamer tag is Vio.
He actually inherited that name from me from his first Xbox. I logged into it with my account.
And then eventually I'd play more and more, and it just kept on being something that I stuck with.
I'm like his Master Yoda, I guess you could say. So, passed it down.
Ever since I was extremely little, before I can even remember, I'd always been quote unquote playing video games.
He would run around and not do much, but he's probably 3 years old at the time. So, but he loved it. He would put on the headsets and the keyboard and mouse, and just like us. Weston's mom passed away 11 years ago to the day, actually, coincidentally. So she was a big gamer as well, and had a lot of influence in both of our our gaming. I played because she played because I played, and then of course Weston saw that and wanted to play games too.
My brother plays video games, my stepbrother plays video games, everybody else plays video games.
His stepmom is also a gamer too, so she plays her Switch and her Wii and all that stuff, and likes gaming as well. It's definitely part of him and a big part of him, but he is just an all-around good kid. He gets good grades in school. He he loves hunting, loves fishing, camping and things like that. During the summer, we don't play as much because we're out doing other activities.
Right, I still have a social life going on. Right? Gaming's not all I do. I still, I can go to football games with friends. I can go hang out with them on the weekends. I still have a social life. I'm in my room quite a bit playing video games, right? But it's not something I'm in there 24/7 always playing. Fortnite's a 100-player battle royale. You start with nothing but a pickaxe. You farm up, you can build, and last player standing wins. It's almost like a chess game. You're not like just going at it, right? You're making specific builds, you're reacting to certain plays. It's all play-by-play based rather than just pointing and shooting. I like the competition. Just being competitive. It used to be, just having fun going on, but it kind of grew into something that I really enjoy competing in.
I think he's one of the better gamers definitely around town, around maybe even North Dakota. He has great game sense, I guess you could say. He, knows which corners to watch, and he's always aware of his environment and things like that. Weston has actually, placed in the top 100 in a lot of the Fortnite qualifiers. He's actually earned some money off of it, and he practices. People look back at it and say you're just playing a video game, right? But you can sit back and play a video game, but he works on getting better, learning how to counter certain techniques that someone might have, or how to beat them. If you come into some type of obstacle that you can't surpass, he's going to learn the strategies on how to get better and to defeat it.
My name is James LaBelle. I own eGames Central here in Fargo, North Dakota. When I watched Vio play, he was clear he was set above everyone else around here and so focused. I was really excited to see him, one of the competitions he won, clearly, hands down. And we were giving away a $100 gift card of his choice, and he ended up giving it to second place.
I didn't want him to have the idea whatsoever that, if he's here, I'm not going to win. It was, I didn't need it at the time. He seemed like a good kid, and I wanted him to keep on competing.
That was the moment where I thought, man, this is really cool. This is what it's all about, right?
I think that kid comes to every tournament now, pretty much every week, and I think last night he won, so I like to see him do things like that, just pass, what is it called, pay it forward, I guess.
No matter what sport you're in, what business you're in, that can never be topped.
When it comes to like a Fortnite tournament like this, right, where it's a local land thing, I'm just here to have fun, right? To participate in it. And I know Draven, he's a really good kid, right? I like him. If he wins, I'm happy, right? And when it comes to like regular Fortnite tournaments, just being calm mentally, not getting mad. If you get mad in game 3 out of your 10 games, right? Your next 7 games could be completely different, right? You just have to make sure you're playing at your best at all times.
My mom used to say, you know, gaming will never get you anywhere. And we see that nowadays where some of these professional streamers and professional gamers can make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year. Which, you know, I would love for that to happen someday, for him to go professional or something like that.
It would be amazing to bring it to the professional level, right? And get paid to do something like that. You know, that's the ultimate goal. But, you know, like colleges, they have eSports teams right now and whatnot. It would be cool just to be able to keep on competing.
Big picture, right? I hope he becomes a good person. That's, as being a parent, you want to see your kids grow up, you know, be responsible, be able to take care of themselves and help other people, things like that. You know, whether it is, you know, emotionally and financially, whatever. Just being a good person in general, I think, is my biggest goal as a parent for him.
Thanks for watching Midco Sports Magazine. You can find this episode and all episodes on YouTube and IGTV.
This has been Midco Sports Magazine, presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.